365 Days of Horsemanship, day 167. Really nice to get up in the morning today, actually. I'm on a night shift tonight, but I was on a day shift yesterday, which means I've got this like awesome window of time in the morning before I have my like afternoon nap, where I'm like super awake. And I feel like I have the whole day ahead of me, and it's like the least amount of time pressure ever, and I really enjoy that feeling. It also, I think, I came up about 8:30, and I think this time of year that's like quite good timing to catch people when they're resting again, catch horses when they're resting again. And so I did catch Lawrence again when he was resting. I had a good session today, working a little bit more on the touching distance, and interestingly finding that it's going quite well with his hocks. Lifting his hocks and moving them around is going quite well. I was able to actually do both today, which he's never, like I've never done the left one before. I've only done the right in the last 2 sessions. So that was really nice. And I felt good about that. It was interesting, I think. There was one time with his right hock sort of nearer to the end of the session where I tried to kind of, push things a little bit. And actually sort of moved his leg around twice. And he put it down in like quite an odd position. And then sort of did like a little like eye flick focus change. And so I tried to go into flow with him in that position, but after a while that position became painful for me. Like his leg was sort of stuck right out, and he'd sort of positioned it there when we'd finished the stretch. And so then I kind of went into supportive leadership and increased my distance, because I was starting to think, well, maybe he's just feeling a bit like I'm pushing concern here. And I just need to go back to something that's easy and be successful, which I did, and I was, and it did go well. He then had a nice lick and chew and a category change, and I was able to go into flow with him at sort of like, I guess like a medium long distance. And then he invited me back in, which was really nice. So I went back in and played again a little bit more. I had my new camera tripod today for the first time, which was really exciting. And I was happy that I was able to kind of do both. It definitely was a little distracting, but I just tried really hard to kind of pretend it wasn't there and like not care about the outcome of the video, and just do the session and look at the video afterwards, and then make any adjustments I need to make to have it just be there and not be a problem, or be a distraction. And I think that was good. I definitely struggled to finish with Lawrence, struggled to finish the session with Lawrence in the right place. I think looking back, I can see the place that I should have finished. And he'd done like this nice focus change out towards the herd, and then he started walking. I wasn't sure if we were going to get another one, so I stayed, but then he sort of started eating, but he was sniffing, so then I like quickly left before he actually started eating, so I could leave on that curiosity. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, actually touching him today on his barrel and his body was actually worse. So I don't know how to feel about that. Elsa had sort of said yesterday about if the horse is like going into fight about touching, that's something that needs to be addressed directly, which I feel like it was, but I just sort of want to see how it is tomorrow, because that would then be 2 days in a row. So, well, tomorrow it would be 3 days in a row. And so at that point, then I think I would want to ask Elsa for some advice. Because I don't want to end up in like a not a leadership position, because in that moment, if I'm like backing away and it's like in its fight, then I don't think that's a good pattern to be in. But I also want him to be able to express himself. So I'm going to see how it is tomorrow. I'm just going to come, I'm going to see how it is tomorrow, see if I can have good timing, and then depending on what happens tomorrow, then I'll speak to Elsa if I need to. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's good that he's expressing it. I really think it's good that I think it's great to see him treating me like a member of the herd rather than a human. And I think now it's my turn to step up and behave like a horse and not like a human, and not, you know, like mollycoddle him into like pushing me away and dominating me because I feel bad about what happened to him in the past. Like, we're not in the past anymore, we're in the present, you know, and he doesn't need to fight me. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting for sure. I'm really interested to see what happens tomorrow. But it was a good session. It was a really good session. Felt really happy with it. I played for about half an hour, hardly noticed it. It was good. Then I went and played with Mia, and I had another good session with her today. We did some really interesting stuff too, where I went to go in initially, and I really wanted to take the time to get to know her within the herd today, to spend that little bit of time, and just by chance they all wanted to look at something in the field next door, and so I was able to go right up to the front of the herd and really like be the leader. And until that point, you know, she'd been sort of like grazing and doing all of her normal things, and that had been fine. But then I was able to go up right in front of them, right in front of everybody, and have a really good look. And I had a look, and I'm like lifting my eyes up and down like this, and looking over here and looking over there, and really wanting to make them feel like that I understood that there was some interest or concern or curiosity about what was happening over there, that I was going to check it out, and then that I was okay with it. And as I was doing that, she started interacting with me, and so I then was able to hold to her, which was really nice. I brought her up, and I initially went in the arena. I started walking around, and I just realised that I shouldn't be in there. I know it sounds stupid, but like if I'm thinking about the Pirelli perspective on it, like the arena is the precision pen, and the arena is where I think I would go to do difficult physical things, because the area is really like the surface is really soft and level. And so, you know, if you want to practice flying lead changes, or, you know, cantering small circles, or things that are difficult physically, then that's where I want to be. But actually, there's no reason why I can't work on walking together out in the playground. And actually, it was really good to get out in the playground. It was really good to see the benefit in being out in the playground. And also, I think it's good to tackle this food thing, because at some point we have to tackle it. And now's a good time. You know, we're just walking. And so, yeah, so I basically set up that I was just walking around literally next to her. She was so obsessed with eating. And so I literally was just walking until she felt better about it. And yeah, she stopped at one point and had like a good few yawns. And so at that point, then we stopped and had some grass, and I did one of her plats. And then we went the other way and did the same thing. The second time, it was more challenging to have good timing, because she started to question if she could get grass by stopping. But then at the end of the session, I was able to start asking her for like a little yield to the left, a little yield to the right, just literally like one step, and then the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. Yeah, so I think I'm still not really sure on feeling timing there, like when the good time to stop is, but potentially I think from today, I think I have the confidence tomorrow to start playing with that. Like, I think if she stops, then I need to take that as she doesn't want to walk anymore. And if she doesn't want to walk anymore, then that's my opportunity to give her different things to do. And then we can work on those things. And then once she's in a place, because I think, you know, if I ask her enough questions and I get her thinking enough, she'll forget about eating, because she'll need to actually think properly and process things. And that's, I think, where I really want her to get to in our dominant sessions, but it felt good. I felt confident with it. I was really happy with how it went, and it felt like I could see the progression of how we were going to get to the next thing and the next thing. So it was good. Yeah, then I took her back. Taking her back, she sort of like, again, wanted to stop, but then she would want to eat and then she'd want to stop. So it was quite interesting. It was like one of those kind of like, I don't know. I wasn't really sure what to do, but in the end, I basically just decided. We went over and had a drink, and that was interesting. I really felt like I could see what she was thinking. She came over to this water trough that's in a field that we haven't drunk in a while, and the water's clean, but I don't think it's as fresh as the water. Well, I know it's not as fresh as the water in her field. And so she came over to have a drink, and she sort of sniffed it, and then she looked up at the other one in her field that's all the way at the top of the hill, and I could see her in her head thinking, is it worth walking to this other one, or shall I just have the one that's here? And it was like cool to feel like that I knew what she was thinking, even if it's just about a little thing like that. And so then I watched for her while she drank, and then we went back to the herd, and I sort of started playing a little bit with touching distance, and interestingly, I did feel like there was some walking happening, and so I didn't really want to get into a whole conversation if that was going to send her into flight as well. So I just kind of like hung around different places, quite close to her, touching or not touching, depending on whether she sort of like eye flicked or ear flicked or whatever. And then she started sniffing something, and so I left. Well, actually, that's not true. She started sniffing something, I moved, and then she looked up and had like a herd moment. And so that's where I left. So it was really good. It did feel good. Yeah, it was a good session all around. I'm really happy with how things went. It was really nice to just have the time today to be here. I really just enjoyed that. Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow.